Hello everyone. My name is Indrajeet Bhuyan, and today I'll be speaking on the expanding horizons of application security. So one of the reason why I want to do this talk is that I have seen I talk with a lot of people in Singapore who are doing who just started their career in cybersecurity, and I can see that most people are only focusing on pen test. They only do pen test, and they don't know what's beyond. Even I face the same problem. So I thought, okay, I'll give a talk which is not that technical, but it's like a path which I can show to the people that what next they can do. So my target audience was initially like mostly students and early professional. I'm not sure how many of you are here who are students. Can anyone just raise hand if you're a student? Okay, at least we have 2, 3. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. So before starting, so this part I call it as a shameless self-promotion, where I talk about what I do and who am I, right? So currently I'm working as an application security engineer at Singtel, Singapore. It's the largest telecom in Southeast Asia. Previously I have contributed security to companies like Samsung, HCL, WhatsApp and many other companies. Also I developed smallest possible code of 2 KB which could crash WhatsApp just long back. I was in school back then. Also I got invited to speak at various security conferences like Nalcon, then after Singtel I gave a talk. Also recently I went to Bangkok. Also I helped the Indian government interacting crypto checking and fixing it from the government websites. So that's a very short introduction. So why this talk, right? As I told you, how we do application security today and how we used to do it 10 years back or 8 years back, there's a huge difference. But sadly, not many people know it. The issue that I see is that in Singapore, we have a lot of service companies who only focus on getting projects, do the pen test, submit it to the client. Now, the problem here is that people who are starting in the early phase, they don't know what to do next. So today we'll talk about the changing dynamics of application security. Also, we'll talk about the skill gap, and we'll also talk about the market of application security engineers in Singapore. Because we know that now we have a recession going on, all the layoffs are happening everywhere. So we'll see how the market is in Singapore. And at last we'll see the skills needed to be a modern AppSec engineer. That's the whole agenda of the presentation. So last year, 2 years back, I gave a talk at DevZero Meetup. So this talk was about how to get started in cybersecurity. So this talk was mainly for people who are not into cybersecurity but want to get into cybersecurity. So after this talk, I got very good feedback. In fact, 3 of them reached out to me. They told that I want to do a mid-career switch. So they started learning cybersecurity. So when I heard about this year's Incon, I thought, why not give a version 2 of the same talk? So this talk, I will be focusing on people who are into cybersecurity, but they are confused what to do next, or they don't know the roadmap yet. Because I was also in the same phase initially. My first company was a service company where we used to get projects, we do pen tests, we submit, get project again, submit. Then once I went to a product company, everything changed. I was like, I don't know anything. That's why I thought I need to tell people what they can do today. So as you can see, right, the demand for cybersecurity professionals. If you are someone who is working in Singapore and if you are not from Singapore, we get something called as EP, right, the employment pass. And from this year we have something called as Compass framework, where we need to collect points to get the employment pass. And interestingly, we get 10 to 20 points extra if we are into these categories like cyber risk specialist, cybersecurity architect, cybersecurity operations specialist, and pen test specialist, because this falls under the shortage occupation list. So from this you know that there is a huge demand in cybersecurity in Singapore, because it falls under shortage skill. That means if you have the skill, you will get a job. Even if there is a bad IT session going on, you will get a job. Similarly, there is one more report which says that there are 3.5 million unfilled positions in 2025. But you should always know one thing, that these unfilled positions are only for the skilled people. There are jobs but only for skilled people. It's not that there is unfilled position and companies will just hire you. You should have the skill. Once you have the proper skill, only then they will hire you. So let's start the session now. So the changing dynamics of application security. So before I start, I want to ask a question to everyone. So how many of you here knows to do pen test, like web, mobile, API? Can you please raise your hand? How many of you knows? Only two? I'm sure there are many more who at least like that's just the basics. Okay. So we see most people know to do web pen test. Then there will be a little less who will know mobile. Then there are a lot of people who know web, API, right? So whenever I ask this question that how many of you know pen test, a lot of people will say, okay, I know it. There's a huge crowd. But the moment I change the question and I ask you, how many of you know all this thing? Is there anyone who knows like all these things? Can anyone raise your hand if anyone knows? So that's where the problem is, right? Today, 10 years back, even if you don't know all this thing, you can still survive as an AppSec engineer. You know pen test, you know VA, it's good. But now, everything is changing. So we'll see more on this. 2 months back, there's a company in Singapore called as Noteflare. They released a tech salary report. So this is called as ACR tech salary report. And these are the top 15 company, like top search company in Singapore. And all these companies, if you go for any AppSec role, and if you say that I only know pen test, there's a high chance that they will not hire you. They need way more than just knowing pen test. So we'll see more on that. Then, these are a list of company who pays 20% more than what average company pays in Singapore. And all these big names, right? I have a friend who recently applied in one of the company, I will not take the name. His role was for pen test. He has 7 rounds of interview and there are coding challenges, like coding rounds in that. So today if you want to get a good job in a good company as an AppSec engineer, knowing only pen test is not enough. And we'll see why that's happening. So what I did just for this presentation, I clicked on one of the job role just to see what skills they want these days. So as you can see here, right, here are some of the skills listed for one of the companies which was like in this list, okay. So they asked, do you have prior experience in implementing security in an agile development process? So as you know now, earlier, right, once the application is developed, then they ask you for pen test. Now companies are shifting left. They want to implement security in every step of their software development. So here you're asking that, do you know to implement? So you ask yourself, if you are looking for an AppSec role, do you know to do this? If the answer is no, then they will not hire you, right? So let's check the second question. So they are asking, do you have experience in tooling a DevOps pipeline to embed security stages in it? So once again you ask yourself that you know pen test, but do you know, can you put security in the pipeline? Because these days when you work in a big company, there are like a lot of things happening. There is no time to manually pen test everything. They want to implement it in their pipeline so that just click once, they want to see the report. So if you are someone who can do this, then you are in a good side. Then one more question that they asked was, do you have prior experience in playing the role of a cyber champion? Sadly, most people don't know what exactly cyber champion means. And most companies, they need a cyber champion. So these are a few of the new roles that are coming up now in AppSec field. And why this is happening, that's also very interesting. So why job requirements for AppSec engineers are changing? You see, just like if you are into web development, right? Every weeks a new framework comes in. It becomes very difficult for web developers to keep up with it. Same thing is happening in cybersecurity now. If you see 10 years back, the things are very different. But now, the things are changing like anything. So if you have only like pen test skill as a red teaming skill, it's going to be difficult surviving in the big companies. So let's see why the job requirements are changing. See, AppSec earlier was only these three, mostly. Like we have VA, then we have pen test, and sometimes we do source code review, right? And I still know people who thinks that VA and pen test is same. When I talk with some sales people or someone who are like on the business side, they say that, okay, I just run a scanner, my pen test is done. So we still have people who get confused between these two. So this is what AppSec was earlier, but now AppSec has changed completely. In Singapore, mostly people still follow this model. Do you agree? Anyone who is working in a service company, is this what we follow, right? We get a pen test request, we ask them to fill a pen test sheet, Then we will pen test. That's where your role is, that you pen test and submit a report, right? That's your job is done. So you never know how to fix the flaw. You never know why that flaw came into picture. So if you want to just stay in this zone, I tell you, after a few years, there will be like, it will be very difficult to survive. Now AI is coming up, AI is changing everything. So if you want to only stay in this area, it will be very difficult. So let's see what are the changes that are coming up now, right? You see, AppSec now is all this, even way more than this. I could only think of this, but it's way more. So we have vulnerability assessment, pen test, as usual. Then we have source code review. Then we have DevSecOps. It's getting very popular in all the big companies. Then we have cloud security. If you see, just few years back, we talked with the banks. They say, no, we cannot put our bank details in the cloud. We'll have on-prem servers. Look now, every bank has their data in the cloud. So every company is going in the cloud, so they're looking for cloud security engineers. So as an AppSec engineer, you should know the cloud as well. Because a lot of people, what they do is, once the application is done, they will only do pen test on the application. But what if your cloud is not secure, right? So they need someone who knows all this thing. Similarly, we have supply chain security. A lot of new vulnerabilities are coming in which are happening in the supply chain. Then we have bug bounty management. Today, all the big companies have their own bug bounty program going on. Even we launched our bug bounty program last year. So we need people who can like manage the whole bug bounty program. Even you won't be surprised, there are a few job roles only to handle bug bounty programs. Then we have Kubernetes security. Very interesting, very new. Not many people know it. You will be surprised how many security flaws are there. And even in big companies, most of the in-house pen testers, they never test on the Kubernetes. They only test on the application. So slowly all the big companies are looking for people who knows all this as well. Then we have API security, then threat modeling. Threat modeling is getting very popular. If you know threat modeling, like it's the best thing now. So why is this happening? Can anyone like tell me why like security suddenly went from 3 to so many? Yeah.
Software developers have faster.
Correct. You see, yeah, that's the like correct answer. The way we software are developed and deployed are changing. You see, we are going from waterfall model to now agile model. The way software are developed today, we need to develop software faster. We have releases every week happening. So because of the change, if you see, we are not from the software side, right? So we don't know how fast things are changing. But if you go and talk with any developer, the software industry is changing very fast. So now, as a security engineer, you should also like cope up with that change. If you see, earlier the old approach was this. In the whole software development lifecycle, security was happening only in this phase. Like the software is done, development is done, then you go and talk to a pentester that, okay, find flaw. Now, software development is happening so fast and the scale is so huge that we cannot afford to wait till the end. That, okay, the pentester will find a flaw, then he will fix it. We cannot do that. So now, this is the old approach. And if you are only doing pen test, you are staying here. Whereas the whole, today the industry is like shifting left. They want to put security in every single phase of the software life cycle. So this is the new approach. As you can see, companies today want to put security in every layer of the software development cycle. As you can see, in the planning phase, they will be doing gap analysis. Then in the second phase, they will be doing threat modeling. Then in the third, they will be doing secure coding. So if you are someone who knows threat modeling, who knows code review, then it comes to a unit testing where they will be doing some pen test. Then comes this security test in this deployment phase. Then at last, we have the bug bounty program. So companies today, all the big companies today want to put security in every phases of the software lifecycle. So let's see a bit details on what are things that they do. You see, in the planning phase, like companies can sit and discuss that, okay, how do we secure our login page? What authentication do we use? Do we use our in-house system or we take it from some third party? So all these things will come in this phase. Then comes the secure design and prototyping. So in this phase, like you can do some threat modeling, you can do Then you can see if you're following all the standards. So in this phase, all these things happens. Then comes the secure development. So this is the time where the developers will actually code. So here your role will be to like educate them the best practices, to see if what open source libraries you are using. Like these days, lot of flaws. Because developers use some open source libraries and later on there are flaws there, right? So you can check which libraries to use. Here you can do some code review and you can overall like try to secure the whole development process. Then comes the security and vulnerability testing. So currently most people are only focusing on this. But as you have seen, there are a lot more before as well. So in this phase, you will be doing the regular pen test, then automated testing, and also dynamic testing. So for this automated testing, I have like few slides again. A lot of people who do pen test today, they think that we don't need to know coding. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of people do. They say that okay, we only do pen test, we don't have to know coding. But I'll show you why you should learn. It's a high time why you should learn. So this phase is gone. Then we have the secure deployment where you can do routine security test. Then you can let users test your application. Then at last, once everything is done, then comes the maintenance and monitoring. So this is the phase where you will constantly patch vulnerabilities. You will be setting up a bug bounty program. You will be triaging. You will be replying to the bug hunters. So as you can see, today security companies want to put security in every phase. And if you are someone who is in the field of AppSec, so just ask yourself that, like, am I capable of running this whole thing? If not, you will to upskill. So let's start with a question. Is it important to learn coding to be a successful AppSec engineer? You can just answer yes or no.
Yes.
So why is the question is why, right? Because till few years back, I know a lot of pen testers, they will just open the browser and they will just do the web applications pen test. They don't need to learn coding. But now things are changing, and actually it's a high time that it's a wake up call. I'll show you why. So we live in a dev-centric world. Okay? So what I mean by this is that actually I saw a LinkedIn post by this guy who runs AppSec engineer website. So he told this that we live in a dev-centric world. Then I was like, what exactly he means by it? Then I started reading about it and I'm like, yeah, he's right. So what I mean by dev-centric world is, you'll be surprised. See this. So there is this post by this guy called Abhay Bhargav. He is the founder of AppSec engineer. So he says that the future of security is dev first. So if you see, dev has consumed ops. Earlier there used to be an ops, like whole department, right, who will be doing all the setup and everything. Now we have DevOps. The ops work is gone. Then next we have manual testing and QA. You can talk with any manual tester and any QA. Today, if they don't know automation, there is no job for them. Gone are the days when they used to do manual testing. Today, there is no scope. Like you should know manual, but you should know automation. If you don't know automation, there is no job for QA and manual tester. Now, dev is coming for security. So before dev consumes, now if you see, we have like dev will, as he have mentioned, right? Dev will consume security, policy, compliance, and detection. So if you don't know how to code, if you don't know development, then you are like, you never know when the next layoff happens, right? As you can see here, we have mentioned that for you, change the way you need to shape your career. If you thought that, okay, because earlier I have talked to a lot of people, they said, okay, I am not very good in coding, so I will go into pen test. But this is not going to happen anymore. You should know how to code. I am not saying that you should develop applications. You don't need to be a software developer, but you should know at least the basics and a little more than the basics. I'll give you an example how security is slowly moving towards dev and how we are becoming dev-centric. See, everyone knows this tool, right? Metasploit and nuclei. We all use it. So if you think about it, in Metasploit, we are using it, but there is someone who is making the exploit, we are writing it, right? So same goes for nuclei. Few years back, we didn't have nuclei. Today, it's so easy. If I have some flaw, if I found some flaw, I can make a YAML file, then I can run it in all my targets. Now companies exactly want this. Let's say there's a company, they have 200 assets. You don't have time to manually test the flaw everywhere. What they want is, you have found some flaw, write a YAML file, put it in the pipeline, and we'll see how many other applications have the same flaw. So if you don't know how to code, you cannot do this. You cannot do automation. And automation is coming to security like anything. So if you don't know how to code, if you don't know how to develop, you will be in a very tough spot. So for this, you need to have a change in mindset. As I told you, I have seen a lot of people who will say that, okay, I only do pentest, I don't need to learn coding. So you should change the mindset. So what you need to change is, first, learn to code. Like, it's a must. You cannot get away with it. Today, things are changing. Everything is becoming dev-centric. Even those compliance and policy, right, which was like completely non-tech. We have something called as policy as a code. So everything is getting dev-centric. The second is, learn the technology first, then hack it. I have seen a very big problem with most people is that who are into like pen test and cybersecurity. Like they will learn how to hack web application, but they don't know how to develop it. If you know how to develop web application, you will know where to find the flaw, what can go wrong. If you directly start hacking it, you can do it, but then you cannot go in depth. That's why when you see bug bounty programs, right, all the low-hanging fruits, there are so many duplicates, hundreds of people will report same flaw. But if you know how to develop web applications, you will know what flaws to look in. You will have different perspective altogether. Same goes for hacking mobile apps, right? If you don't know how to develop an Android app, directly you jump into hacking an Android app, you can find some flaw, no doubt, but then you will miss out the bigger picture. That's what differentiates you from the top hackers and what you're doing. Same goes for cloud. Before learning how to hack cloud, learn cloud, then hack it. Same for Docker, Kubernetes, or any technology. So this is the change in mindset that you need to do. If you want to hack something, spend 2-3 months at least, learn the technology, then see how you can hack it. Next is, you see, offensive security is just one part of security. Lot of people, we only do offensive security. Even I started from offensive security, and we think that whole security is offensive security. It's not. If you only focus on like pentest, you will be missing out on a bigger picture. Security is much bigger than just pentest. If you want to be an AppSec engineer, you need to know like a lot of things. Like one very small thing I tell you, right? The importance of communication skill is very important when you are in the role of AppSec, because you need to talk with a lot of people. You need to explain them. I have interviewed like 100+ people from my current company and previous company. We have got some very good profile, but the only problem is they don't know how to communicate. So I cannot assign that person to work with a team because he don't know how to interact with the director. He don't know how to interact with the manager. So this is something that soft skills that you need to develop. And there is a huge picture, like apart from offensive security, we have something called defensive security, which is huge. I would say that you should go and explore that as well. Because why companies do offensive security is so that they can defend their product, right? So like sometimes when you say, let's say, okay, I found the CSRF flaw. I'll go to the developer and say, okay, hey, you fix it. He'll ask me how to fix it. I'll say that put a NGCSRF token. I only know till that much. If he asks me how should I generate the token, I'm like, okay, I don't know. So learn in depth that if this is the flaw, how to fix it, how will the developer fix it, can I fix it myself? So these are the things that you need to explore. And these are the change in mindset that you need to do. And at last, develop communication skill is very important. When you are a team lead or you are someone who is leading a team and you are talking with the developers, because earlier, right, I'll give you my example. I used to work in a service company, we just get pentest requests, we pentest and submit the report. We don't care what we do with the report. But now when I'm working with a product company, my job role is to sit with the developer, explaining what is the flaw, why he need to fix it. Sometimes the team will say that, okay, we are running late, we need to release. The manager will come in, the product owner will come in. He will say that, okay, this is not a flaw, we don't want to fix it. Then I have to explain him that why this is a flaw, what is the impact. Because then when the business people comes, they don't care about security, they care about the business. They will say, okay, there is a big launch happening, we need to release it. So I should know how to communicate with them so that I can make things work. So this is a very important skill to have. So at last, I would say some of the skills that are needed for modern AppSec engineer. So this is the mind map that is shared by Abhay Bhargav. It's very useful. Maybe you can take this and you can go ahead. So as you can see, the entry level, right? So when you are in the entry level, you should have working knowledge of AppSec. You should know how to pen test, of course, because that's the main skill that you need to have. Then you should have good written and verbal skills, like the entry level, right? Then you should have working knowledge of cloud and DevOps. You should at least know how cloud works, how AWS works, also how like DevOps works. Then basic threat modeling skill. That should be enough for an entry level. Now what I mean by working knowledge is that don't have paper skill. There are a lot of certifications which only like helps you in paper skill. As an AppSec engineer, you should have a working skill. You should know how to do hands-on. So once you are done with the entry level, in the intermediate, by the time you go to intermediate, you will be a senior AppSec engineer. You should have a DevSecOps skills. It's very important. And by this time, you should know advanced threat modeling skills. And also you should know security architecture review. Because let's say there is an architecture that is made by the team. They'll ask you, okay, can you review this? Can you tell us where we should put security or what might go wrong? So you should be able to know how to review those architectures. Then you should have excellent written and verbal skill because you will be a senior AppSec engineer by now. You should know how to communicate, how to talk with managers or developers. And at last is the advanced, right? So by the time you go advanced, you'll already be a lead in some company. So by this time you should know policy as a code. You can go and search policy as a code. It's a very new thing and it's booming like anything. Then you should know like advanced security engineering by now. Then advanced security architecture review skills definitely you should have because as I told you, right, companies are moving like in a shift left approach. So right from the design phase, they want to put security. So they will ask you that can you review this architecture? Can you see what might go wrong or where you can put security? Then at last you should have the ability to communicate with senior management because by now you'll be communicating with the directors, the C-level people. So it's very important for you to like have very good communication skill, how you can convince others. So those skills you need to develop. So before ending, let's see some of the certificates that you can do. Because we all know OSCP, right? Everyone knows OSCP. But there are other certificates as well which can help you like learn in other direction, which most people don't talk about or don't know about. So here is one very popular certificate that's getting popular now. It's called as Certified DevSecOps Professional. So it's a very, I would say, not very beginner friendly, but it's quite easy. So they'll teach you on secure SDLC and CSV pipeline. Then they'll talk about the SCA part, that is the software component analysis, also static analysis, dynamic analysis, and a lot of other things. And it's a 12-hour practical exam. So you will have a hands-on skill. It's not a paper skill. So this is one certificate that you can do. And next you can do this one, Certified Threat Modeling Professional. Now threat modeling is getting very popular these days. A lot of companies, they want that you do threat modeling so that you know beforehand that what might go wrong. So this certificate is a 6-hour practical exam. So they will teach you everything about threat modeling, like threat modeling basics, agile threat modeling, report and deliverables, then Microsoft threat modeling tool. And also they have case studies on like AWS, S3 and a lot of other case studies. So you can do this. And for learning a point of view, this website, right, AppSec Engineer, you can follow. So this website is made by this guy called Abhay Bhargav. A lot of content from like in my slides are inspired from him actually. So you can go to this website and you can learn all this topic. I am sure for now this topic might be very alien to you, but trust me, this is something that will be like happening a lot in the next few years. So yeah, that's all from my side. Just quite a short presentation. So you can connect me here on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, you can share your feedback as well. So yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.